Her husband suddenly appeared on their wedding night. He wasn't supposed to appear in the original story, so she was completely unprepared. And his behavior during the day had only confirmed her assumption. All she had to do was exchange rings, and she would finally be free of the filthy Regrow family. The little flower children brought over the rings. They were so adorable. Killian looked impatient, which she could understand. After all, it was a political marriage. The sooner it was over, the better. She held out her hand, and Killian quickly shoved the ring on her finger. He didn't touch her at all. How childish. Before she could even pick up the man's ring, he had already snatched it up. As she watched in confusion, he put the ring on himself. Laughter rippled through the crowd, but his actions couldn't change a thing. Besides, it's not like she wanted anything to happen with Killian. She patted the flower girl's head to thank her. The villainess's uncharacteristic behavior, however, made him take notice. Whatever Killian was thinking, he quickly averted his gaze. In her past life, she had been dragged down by her family. Her gambling-addicted brother had not only taken all her savings, but he'd also pushed her down a flight of stairs. And after being reborn, she was still stuck with a vicious family. She prayed to God that she would never have to live that kind of life again. After the wedding, she finally got to take off the revealing dress. Edith's taste was really over the top. The neckline was so low that she'd spent the entire day worried about exposing herself. Suddenly, Lize came to visit. She remembered a scene from after the wedding in the original story, where Lize comes to find Edith. She was there to apologize for Killian's rude behavior, but her words only twisted the knife in Edith's heart. She accused Lize of deliberately wearing a white dress to her wedding, and now this. She was supposed to be Killian's wife, after all. To be honest, from Edith's point of view, the whole thing was truly awful. But she wasn't the real Edith. Lize begged her not to blame Killian, saying that he might seem aloof. But he was warmer than anyone on the inside. Up close, the heroine was even more beautiful. Her golden hair shone, and her eyes were crystal clear. An adorable appearance paired with an upright character, she was the perfect protagonist. Since she was now the villainess fighting for her own survival, it was all the more important to get on good terms with her. Please don't worry, I completely understand. This marriage was just to secure the ties between our families. It's perfectly normal for him to be upset. I won't blame him for it. Lize looked surprised at first, but then she smiled. You're so mature and gentle. Looking at her dazzling beauty. I'm nothing compared to you, Miss Lize. That dress looks wonderful on you today. Just then, a maid announced that her hot bath was ready. After Lize said her goodbyes, she could finally relax. Now that she was the Duke's daughter-in-law, she had people to prepare everything for her. Who cared if there was no internet? There was no forced overtime, no slick bosses, and she was finally free of her gambling brother forever. All that was left for her were operas, balls, picnics, and parties. She was happy just thinking about it. Suddenly, someone burst in. The groom wasn't back yet. And you're already starting your bath? What a heartless bride. The man who had never once set foot in Edith's bedroom in the original story, Killian, had actually appeared. Even if he was her husband, barging in on their wedding night was incredibly rude, but he clearly didn't think so. Seeing the bride's shocked expression, he turned the question back on her. Why do you look so surprised? Who else did you expect to come here, if not the groom? No, it's just, I thought you wouldn't come. Killian approached her. Good, at least you're not completely clueless. You made your feelings perfectly clear. You wouldn't even let me put the wedding ring on you. If I still couldn't tell after that, then Killian suddenly leaned over her. What's the matter with you? Don't tell me you were actually expecting me to pursue you passionately? Edith was left speechless. How can a person be so handsome while twisting things around and blaming the victim? It was just so unfair. But all she wanted to do was rest. Besides, she was too tired to get angry, so she relented and explained. I'm just stating the facts. Seeing how much he resisted, I figured you wouldn't come tonight. So, were you planning on sleeping here tonight? Only then did Killian realize how out of character he was acting. He turned and walked away, so fast it was like he was escaping. So weird. Why did he even come over in the first place? Only the sound of his hurried footsteps filled the empty corridor. Someone called out to him. Weren't you going to the bride's room? The man's expression was complex. I was just there, but she's just like me. She has no expectations for tonight. Plus, she was about to fall asleep in the bathtub. But just now, she and You shouldn't always assume the best of people. You know what kind of person Count Regelhoff is. You need to think carefully about whether their words are genuine or just sarcasm. In that case, what Miss Edith said. Seeing her trail off, Killian pressed. What did she say to you? Just now, she complimented my gown, saying it was beautiful. Was I being naive? I was actually so happy when I heard her say that. Killian's face was filled with anger. You didn't even pick that dress out yourself. How could she be so despicable as to pick on you for something like that? How is that picking on me? Maybe that was the only way she could bring herself to say it. Can you imagine how hurt she must be? Hurt? Peeved. Have you seen how lavishly she's dressed? How dare she make an issue out of your gown? Killian recalled Edith's figure-hugging wedding dress. She's nothing but a shallow woman. Lize retorted, agitated. Killian, how can you say that about your own wife? The The man didn't answer, instead asking, "Lize, you're being so cruel. Is there nothing else you want to say to me? Do you have any idea what kind of mood I was in today?" "Lize," Cliff suddenly appeared. "What are you two doing out here so late?" Lize's expression changed in a flash as she smiled and ran to him. Killian stood frozen in place for a long time, as if his soul had left his body. As for Edith, when she woke up the next day, she had already written her husband out of the picture. In the original novel, Killian was completely devoted to the female lead, even remaining chaste for her. She wasn't about to ask for trouble. The Duke and Duchess had kindly taken Lize in. It would be easier to get close to them. No one would dislike a newlywed daughter-in-law who greets them in the morning. But meeting her parents-in-law wearing these clothes? The very thought was horrifying. The younger brother always yielded to the older one. He didn't even know how to fight for the girl he loved, and ended up marrying someone he didn't. As for Lize, before being taken in by the Duke, she was an illegitimate daughter who suffered constant abuse at home. Her older brother and sister only thought of ways to bully her, until she helped the Duchess avoid a riding accident. Upon discovering that she was being tormented, the Duchess gave her a large sum of money. It was only because she was adopted under a certain condition that Lize was able to escape that hellhole. Having been showered with love by the Duke's family, Lize grew up to be as bright and kind as the goddess of spring. At the end of the story, she marries the older brother, Cliff, but right now, they're not married yet. Instead, it was Edith who married the younger brother first, rather than dealing with the two brothers who were hostile towards her. It would be better to win over the Duke and Duchess. But these dresses of hers, with necklines that plunge nearly to her navel, would definitely have the opposite effect if she wore them out. She needs to have all of the original owner's clothes altered. Yesterday was supposed to be their first night. Should I create the illusion that something happened? Never mind, there's no need to meddle. Otherwise, Killian would probably pass out from rage. The thought of how the novel made the second male lead a lifelong bachelor who died a virgin makes me gloat. But why would someone like that come to my room last night? Was it just to pick a fight? Still, they're the main characters of the story, so of course they're ridiculously good looking. A maid's voice suddenly reminded her that her hair was done. Only then did she realize she'd been lost in Killian's handsome face. Choi Su-na, have you lost your mind? I'd already decided to keep my distance from him. The morning greeting started off smoothly enough. The Duchess was a gentle woman, while the Duke was far more blunt. He asked what skills she possessed. Thanks to Edith's memories, she was competent in basic estate and financial management. She proposed that if the ducal household had its own methods, they could assign someone to teach her. Her answer made the Duke suspicious. It seems the Count specifically taught you these things. Although Edith knew they weren't fond of her, she never expected to be accused of being a spy to her face. If you cannot trust me, then please teach me something else. I will do my utmost to learn it. Her straightforwardness left the Duke and Duchess a bit flustered. The Duchess smiled to smooth things over, saying they would need her help in 2 weeks. She also told Edith to let her know if she needed anything. Edith then requested a guide to help her get familiar with the estate. The Duchess was about to suggest Killian, but then she remembered her son's temperament, and quickly changed her mind, saying she would pick someone suitable. Finally, the first test was over. The pressure had been so intense she felt like she was suffocating. Are you alright, my lady? A beautiful man with long hair appeared before her. He was the aide the Duchess had assigned to her. His name was Levon. Just like Anna, the maid who had helped her earlier, he was a character who never appeared in the original novel. Levon gave her a detailed tour of the ducal estate, pointing out the areas she was free to use. As the tour was coming to an end, Edith spoke up to thank him. She complimented his eloquence and said he'd made her afternoon a pleasant one. Levon was surprised, because nobles don't normally thank those of a lower status than themselves. Besides, she was nothing like the rumors. Because of this, he decided to extend the tour a little longer. It was a decision he would deeply regret. They ran right into the young masters on a date with Lize. A dramatic scene like this, of course, has to be watched with your significant other. The lady he served was quite strange. She saw her husband having tea with another woman the day after their wedding, and didn't seem to care in the slightest. Even he thought the young master was going too far. She was a truly peculiar person. He would simply do his job as instructed, and she would gratefully thank him. In the dull, dark armory, she would gasp in admiration. Most nobles were only interested in jewels, but she loved the ancient collection. This new Edith, with a different soul, had no feelings for her husband. So, of course, she wasn't angry. I wonder what the original Edith's reaction was in the novel. Oh well, all she wanted was to enjoy her life in the ducal estate. As for everything else, she couldn't care less. The garden was just as beautiful as Levon had described. It'll probably be even more beautiful here once spring is in full bloom. Edith's reaction completely baffled Levon. Model. I think I'll be coming here often from now on. Let's go, Lennon. Lennon watched her back, a thoughtful look on his face. Yes, milady. In the Duke's study, Lennon was reporting to the Duke about Edith's status. She's very intelligent. She was able to quickly grasp the layout of the residence. She showed a particular interest in the artwork. Was there anything else unusual? Nothing at all. Contrary to the rumors, her speech and conduct were very refined. There was just one thing that was special. On our way back, we saw the young masters having tea with Lady Lize. The Duke's face darkened. I specifically told him to be careful, and not give anyone any leverage. To be seen laughing with another woman the day after his wedding. They entered into this political marriage to keep Count Regelhoff in check. Killian had promised to at least maintain a superficial relationship, but he also said not to force him on other matters. He knows perfectly well how important this relationship is. Suddenly, Lennon spoke up. "Milady." She didn't seem to mind at all. "What did you say?" She neither argued nor got angry. She simply left, as if she hadn't seen a thing. This made the Duke think there was more to Edith than met the eye. Meanwhile, she had just finished lunch and was still not quite used to being waited on like this. She couldn't help but keep thanking her, and told Anna to go take a break and eat lunch. This took Anna by surprise. "Thank you, milady. My performance in front of the Duke and Duchess should be fine. Now, I need to think about how to deal with Lize. If you only look at the final outcome, she's without a doubt the luckiest character in this world. The complete opposite of her was my past life. It was filled with misery from beginning to end. After I died from falling down the stairs, what will my brother do? Will our parents grieve for him? Probably not. They only ever had eyes for my brother. But rather than worrying about that, I should be worrying about myself." Outside the window, Lize was reading a book in the shade of a tree. Instead of being pessimistic here, I should go and try to build a good relationship with her. Just as she was about to go over to her, Killian suddenly appeared. He asked Lize what she was reading, and the girl replied with a smile. "It's a history book about the royal family. I've never studied this subject before, so I'm afraid I'll bring shame to the duchy in the future." Killian said he would support her in anything she wanted to do. "But if you ever run into trouble, you must tell me. I'll do everything in my power to help you." That's the second male lead for you. If it had been Cliff, he would have definitely told Lize not to worry about such things, that all she needs to do is be happy. He'd give her everything, following the tropes of the novel. A personality like Killian's could never win against the main male lead. Although, I much prefer Killian's lines. This isn't a good situation for me to interrupt. Besides, eavesdropping isn't a good look. Just as she was about to leave, she heard Lize speak. "Why did you leave Edith all by herself and come out here? Her husband doesn't love her. Not only is his heart set on another woman, he's also speaking ill of her. She's just a hostage staying here temporarily. She'll be leaving sooner or later." Edith wasn't surprised. After all, this was part of the original plot. How could Killian ever fall for a villainess like me? At the Sinclair estate, the younger sister slammed her teacup on the floor. "Who got on her nerves this time? Are you asking because you really don't know? Edith and Killian are married. But why on earth did he marry her? The man doesn't care, though. It seems the Ludwig family has a habit of collecting useless women." "You think this is funny, brother? Should I take my anger out on an innocent teacup like you do? What's with that weird smile? You know something, don't you? Tell me, quick, why do you think they got married? Count Regelhoff, her father, controls the iron mines in the south. What does that have to do with anything? Oh, my dear little sister. You know how many political factions there are right now? Aren't there just two? One is led by Grand Duke Langston, who's aiming for the throne. The other is the Royalist faction." "Exactly. So, if the Grand Duke gets his hands on iron ore, the raw material for weapons, wouldn't that be dangerous? That's why the Emperor sent the Ludwigs to win over Count Regelhoff. To prevent him from siding with Grand Duke Langston. How is that news? Don't be so hasty. That's what everyone thinks. But the real show is just beginning. It all started when he happened to overhear something. Count Regelhoff was instructing his daughter to go and seduce the sons of other nobles. And steal their secrets. That's when he knew Edith's whole, villainous, image was completely fake. She's just a pawn in Count Regelhoff's political games. If this information got out, the entire Regelhoff family would be finished." At that moment, Edith was feeling happy because she had received an invitation from the Duchess. After Ryan had spent several days showing her around the ducal estate, the tour was finally coming to an end. "Thanks to you, I'm completely familiar with the estate now." Ryan froze, staring at Edith's smile, then instinctively turned away to avoid her gaze. When she arrived at the Duchess's drawing room, she found Lize was there too. "Are we going to be working together from now on? This is my first time doing anything like this. Please, I'll be in your care," Lize said humbly, her little face blushing. "I just run errands for the Duchess, that's all." Seeing the two of them getting along, the Duchess felt relieved. Next, she assigned them the task of organizing documents. After they finished their work, the Duchess called for the dressmaker, ready to select some new clothes. As expected, the Duchess much preferred the dress Lize recommended, while the one she chose was not well received. Although the Duchess bought both dresses in the end, after helping Lize pick out 3 outfits, they finally remembered that Edith hadn't bought anything and offered to get her a dress. But Edith, wanting to change her villainous image, had Anna bring one of her own dresses. asking the dressmaker to alter it to be more modest and to remove the gaudy jewels. Besides, the jewels could serve as funds for her to leave in the future. She thought she could finally relax. But unexpectedly, on her way back, she was blocked at the door by Killian. He looked as if he had been waiting for a long time. Killian stopped her. Come with me. Lize has invited you for afternoon tea. I don't think this scene was in the original story. I guess I'll go and see. She followed behind Killian. Lize must have sent him. From behind, his back looked like a statue, broad shoulders tapering down to a narrow waist. It was the first time she'd ever been captivated by a man's physique. But he belongs to Lize. She was just looking, and then Killian suddenly turned around. Feeling guilty, she quickly averted her gaze, unprepared for what the man said next. It completely infuriated her. Hey, I'm warning you. Watch what you say in front of Lize. Lize is like family to us. To me, she's 100 times more precious than you. Ha, so that's what you wanted to say. Is this how you hurt people? Killian said with an arrogant look. Is there anything that can hurt you? I'm a person too. Aren't you a venomous snake, Killian? No, you're the one with no manners. In that case, should I treat you the way the Duke's son treats me? And apply that to Miss Lize? Are you trying to ruin my mood? And turn me into a villainess? What a shame. I'm not the kind of person who gets rattled by something like this. But I'll remember how you've hurt me. After saying her piece, Edith left him behind. She knew where Lize was having tea. She didn't need him to lead the way. The first thing she saw was the female lead's brilliant smile. A battlefield of 4, yet Lize was the only one who seemed oblivious to the awkwardness. I think you're adjusting quite well here, Miss Edith. The one who spoke first was, surprisingly, the original male lead, Cliff. Diving into work so quickly. As a newlywed, don't you want to go on a honeymoon trip with Killian? He's really playing his cards well. He just wants to send her and Killian away so he can have Lize to himself. She declined, saying, because Killian is very busy. Killian suddenly spoke up. Shouldn't you be going to inspect the territory by now? Winter is already over. Cliff put on a thoughtful expression. You're right. In that case, Lize, would you like to go with me? Didn't you say you wanted to travel? Seeing Lize's hesitation, Killian spoke up to defend her. You don't have to pay attention to what he says. You don't have to go if you don't want to, Cliff retorted. But if I'm not here, won't Lize be in an awkward position because of you? Edith was just watching the drama unfold from the sidelines. And from her perspective, it was true. When the three of them were together, they were like close siblings. But as soon as one of the men left, the remaining two would become a man and a woman, and Lize could be subject to negative rumors because of it. As expected of the original male lead, his mind works fast. Just then, the man suddenly looked at her with a malicious glint in his eyes. Miss Edith, regarding me being the only one leaving the estate. With Lize, Killian, and you staying behind, what are your thoughts on that? Here we go again. He knows full well what kind of situation she's in. And yet he still asks a question like that. Is it because he thinks she's an easy target? Edith began her counterattack. Me? I don't care at all. What? Cliff was stunned. Edith's expression turned cold. Cliff knew perfectly well that Killian didn't love her, yet he still asked such a question. The brothers really are equally rude. I don't care. The man's expression cracked. As the heir, inspecting the territory is your duty. If you have to go, then go. It's not like I can control you, can I? In other words, it's none of my damn business. Cliff was rendered speechless. Edith didn't let him off the hook. However, as for your suggestion to take Miss Lize with you, forgive me for being blunt. But that's asking a bit much. First, the inspection itself is very difficult. Second, she isn't your wife. Don't you think proposing something like that would be a burden to her? Edith glanced at Lize out of the corner of her eye and saw something unexpected. Lize was covering the lower half of her face with her hand. From Edith's angle, she could just make out a creepy smile, completely different from her usual bright expression. The next second, the girl's innocent expression returned. Cliff, do you really have to go inspect the thief? What was that all about just now? Did I see that wrong? Oh, forget it. The one she was provoking wasn't Lize, but the insufferable male lead of this novel. Late that night, Killian couldn't sleep, so he went to the rooftop for some fresh air. He recalled what Edith had said during the day and actually let out a laugh. A voice interrupted him. What are you doing out here alone at night? Did something happen? No, it's nothing. I heard your gown arrived today. Mother was so happy she got to buy clothes for you. Honestly, the Duchess has bought me far too many things. I feel so bad about it. Then, Lize's tone suddenly shifted. But for the Duchess, I think she would have been happier buying a gown for Edith, wouldn't she? What are you trying to say? Edith didn't buy a thing that day. She only asked the boutique to alter a dress she brought with her. Before they were married, Killian had heard his fair share of rumors about Edith. How could that be? The woman who never wears the same gown twice? Hey, she probably thought our choices were beneath her. So she just let you and Mother do the choosing. What kind of nonsense is that? She would never mean something like that. Although Lize said it casually, started to bother Killian. Is she trying to defy us? She dressed so gaudily for the wedding. And now she only wears these conservative, modest clothes. No wonder she wasn't such an eyesore today. She's just naturally that tasteless. Just looking at her makes me. In Killian's mind, the image of Edith bathing suddenly appeared. The next second, it morphed into the scene of her angrily rebuking him. The memory of him insulting her. He didn't have time to process it. When a sharp pain shot through his head, Lize asked, "Do you still hate her that much?" "Yes. She's a vicious viper of a woman. Her good behavior now is just a trick to get us to lower our guard." Even though that was his answer to Lize, his mind was already thinking that he should make some inquiries to find out which boutiques she usually frequents. It wasn't for her, of course. It was simply to preserve the dignity of the duchy. What are you supposed to do when your husband is always looking for a fight? Well, you just have to give him a harder time. She was all alone in the spacious gallery. It felt like she had the whole place to herself. In her past life, she had never seen so many magnificent works of art with her own eyes. The use of color, the play of light and shadow, it was all breathtakingly beautiful. She stopped in front of a solemn, stately war painting. She couldn't tear her eyes away, and ended up sitting right on the floor to get a better look. "Well, your posture for appreciating art is certainly unique." She knew that voice instantly. It was her pain in the neck husband. "What are you doing here? Is there anything strange about me viewing the art in my own home?" Fine, she decided to concede, but he decided to press his advantage. Then again, the Regelhofs aren't known for their artistic refinement. So all of this must seem quite new to you, I imagine. Why is he always trying to start something? But she saw no need to argue the point. "You're right, I am genuinely in awe. How can a single piece reflect so many different emotions? It doesn't just clearly depict the tragic brutality of war, you can also see the subject's determination to end the tragedy. Even though he was victorious, the man in the painting doesn't look happy at all." "You're right. After all, even in victory, war is nothing to celebrate." Killian dropped the sarcasm and began to explain the painting's origin. It was a piece from his grandfather's time, during the war with the Yalu kingdom. Seeing Edith's surprised expression, Killian also became surprised. "So, you really don't know anything at all?" "That's right, I don't. I've never heard that you were interested in art. Why are you here?" Edith stood up. "As one gets older, people's tastes can change." "Well then, do you have a favorite artist?" "I'm sorry, I've only recently become interested. So I don't really know any artists." "Not even Arasake? He's really good at making people feel awkward." "That's right. As you know, the Regelhofs aren't exactly known for their artistic taste." Edith's honest and radiant smile stirred an unfamiliar feeling in Killian's heart. Just then, she noticed a painting to the side. "Wait a minute, who is this boy?" Killian's voice grew tense. "When I was a child, a painter who was good friends with my father asked me to model for a painting. I was forced to do it." "Hey, she hadn't asked for all that." Edith kept her eyes fixed on the painting. "Why are you staring so intently?" "Oh, no reason." The man grew agitated. "I asked you what you're looking at." "I'm not looking at anything in particular. It's just a little petite." With that, Edith turned and walked away, leaving Killian stunned. His face instantly flushed beet red. "What did you just say?" "That's a painting. It's not actually me." "Is that so?" "Of course it is. What kind of nobleman would pose completely naked for a painter?" Yes, you're right," Edith said with a dismissive attitude. Her tone completely set him off. "It's clear you're not someone I can discuss art with." She was dying of laughter inside. Even a flower on a high peak needs to be teased once in a while. Otherwise, how are you supposed to get by? Still, she walked back to the painting. He was actually pretty cute as a child. He was responsible for monitoring the lady, and the word monitor made him feel very uncomfortable. The infamous villainess wasn't just hardworking and proactive. She was also humble and polite. She was friendly toward him, yet always maintained an appropriate distance. All in all, he didn't dislike her. In fact, if she were in trouble, he might even help her. As for Edith, she was also enjoying her current life. Although some people were still prejudiced against her, those around her were all very respectful. She had a lot of freedom in the duchy and could enjoy the life befitting a noble. There was one more thing she looked forward to: passing by the training grounds each day. She could watch the male leads from the original novel sparring, back when she was reading the novel. She didn't realize that now that one was her husband, seeing him in person would fit her tastes even better. Compared to the massive, bulky muscles of typical Western fantasy heroes, she much preferred Killian's firm, well-defined physique. Alright, it was time for her to get to work. The day's tour had ended perfectly. The next moment, she froze in place. So, he could laugh like that. It was like the gentle morning sun, making him seem like a completely different person from the one who was always so harsh to her. But his gaze wasn't directed at her. A mix of emotions welled up inside Edith. In all her years living as Choi Su-na, she never thought of herself as someone who was obsessed with looks. It turned out that was only because she had never seen a truly handsome face in her previous life. She could barely concentrate on her work. "Come on, clear your head and get started. Today, I need to organize the list of the family's armaments and armor. This is basically top secret information. Does this mean I've earned a little bit of their trust?" Just then, someone suddenly approached her. "Edith, what is this?" "I've organized the documents Mother gave me into a table." Seeing that Lize didn't understand, she was about to explain. But then she suddenly remembered that tables might not exist in this era, so she explained it in detail. But Lize shut her down. Forgive me for being blunt, but I don't think this is very good. The Duchess noticed them. Is there a problem? Lize was the first to speak. Edith was just asking me for advice. It seems you've been a great help to Edith. Edith snapped her head up. What? I was the one explaining it to asterisk her. This was just like the people who used her in her past life. She turned to the Duchess. Mother, if it's convenient for you, could I ask for your opinion? Edith explained the advantages of the table, and how to use it to the Duchess. As she finished speaking, she finally noticed Lize staring at her, her face completely expressionless. It was like she was slapping Lize in the face. Wait a minute, am I crazy? Have I forgotten that I'm just a supporting character? Just as she was about to say that Lize had taught her well, the Duchess suddenly praised her excitedly. My goodness, Edith, this is incredible. How did you even come up with this? It's truly excellent. Looks like I'll have to borrow this method when I organize documents from now on. Edith's heart started pounding. This was the first time since she'd been transported here that she had received such positive praise. Of course, Mother, in the harmonious atmosphere between the two of them, she didn't notice that Lize was glaring at her with a dark expression. The newlyweds had not yet shared a bed, so when her husband suddenly appeared early in the morning, she was incredibly surprised. What brings you here so early? Seeing that he wasn't saying anything, she started to joke. You didn't come here because you missed me, did you? Killian walked past her into the room. Are you telling me to say my piece and get out? Then what if I asked you to stay a little longer? Would you agree to that? You really can't stand to lose an argument, can you? That's right, because I don't know the meaning of the word, lose. Killian frowned. Who could argue with that? The reason he had come so early was because he had seen Edith's table at his mother's yesterday. She is truly exceptionally clever and bright. His mother rarely praised others like that. And indeed, it looked incredibly efficient. But he suspected Edith might leak the information. He never expected his mother to reprimand him. Killian, even if this is a political marriage, how is Edith any different from you? She left the home she loved and came all alone to a strange place. Can't you be a little kinder to her? But he just felt irritated. Just then, Ryan appeared to report to the Duchess. So he went to Lize for confirmation, but even Lize was praising her. You know how knowledgeable she is. Unlike me, I didn't learn anything at the Sinclair house. She learns so much faster than I do. But while it sounded like praise, every word hinted that something was off about Edith. The reason Lize was able to help their mother was because she had been educated in the ducal household for 4 years. Yet Edith was so skilled that even Lize was envious. This suggested she wasn't just naturally intelligent, she had likely been trained. And her insight into art last time was nothing like the fool the rumors made her out to be. Edith watched her husband's back. She couldn't help but want to tease him whenever she saw him. Having read so many novels, she knew the tragic second male lead all too well. Why is he trying to pick a fight so early in the morning? Is it because I provoked Lize yesterday? I should just say something to ease the tension. The weather is lovely today, isn't it? But it was still early, and the wind was a bit chilly on the nape of Edith's exposed neck. And the scent of roses drifting from her on the wind made Killian's heart skip a beat. At the same time, his head began to ache again. He slammed the window shut. He moved closer and lowered his head. She was completely caught off guard by his sudden action. But she never expected the man's first words to make her blood boil. Because the dress shop mother chose is too noble and elegant. It can't possibly reflect your taste? What is that supposed to mean? He chuckled softly in her ear. You, who never wears the same gown twice, actually refused to have a new dress custom made? Your method of protest is certainly unique. She had only refused a new dress to change her image as a villainess. Could that really be a reason for him to hate her? Killian continued, as if talking to himself. If there's a boutique you prefer, tell me. I'll have them come here. But Edith unexpectedly pushed him away the next second. Killian, you truly know nothing about me at all. If I looked down on that boutique, I would have just found another one. Do you think I'm the kind of person who fusses over such trivial things? You're just looking for excuses to hate me. Killian froze. What did you say? I've known it since our wedding day. You want to pin all the blame on me. That way, you don't have to feel guilty. You can just play the victim. He acted as if he didn't understand. Is this how you feel after threatening our family? Just to get this position? Was I the one who did the threatening? Who else? Are you trying to claim you have nothing to do with the Regelhoff family? It was only then that Edith realized that to everyone, she was nothing more than a Regelhoff. An overwhelming sense of powerlessness washed over her, and she lowered her eyes. When she looked up again, the incredibly complex expression on her face startled Killian. Killian, you don't understand me at all. She'd always liked the second male lead in the novels. She had chosen to endure everything, but faced with these endless conflicts and insults, she finally snapped. That look on Edith's face, a mixture of scorn and disappointment, made Killian suddenly realize that perhaps he had truly been wrong about her. But his pride wouldn't let him admit it, so he just threw out a parting shot. Just assist Mother properly with her duties. And don't do anything suspicious. With that, he turned and left, the door slamming heavily behind him. Edith slowly sank to the floor, wrapping her arms around herself. How could I have been so foolish to only realize it now? To actually dream that I could live a peaceful life here. I need to find a way out of here first. Meanwhile, outside the door, Killian's head was splitting. What in the world had he just done? He couldn't even remember why the argument with Edith had started. All he recalled was the scent of roses that clung to her, and those alluring red lips. She was right. From the very beginning, he had only ever seen her as a daughter of the Regalhofs. Everything he thought he knew about her was based entirely on his prejudice against Count Regalhof. The pain made it impossible to think any further. Why were his headaches becoming so frequent lately? Killian, good morning. He looked up to see Lize's radiant smile. You look terribly pale. Is everything alright? The scent of violets surrounding Lize soothed his headache. You don't have a fever, do you? So, it really is because he feels sick just from being in the same room as Edith? It's fine. Maybe it's because I saw that detestable woman first thing in the morning. How can you say that about Edith again? Killian clenched his fists, forcing himself to stop thinking about Edith. She was just a spy sent by the Regalhofs. He didn't need to concern himself with her. In her past life, whenever Edith was upset, she would fill a thermos with an iced Americano and wander the streets. Today, she planned to do the same. Staying cooped up at home would only worsen her mood. Besides, she had barely seen the outside world since she was transmigrated. As she thought, just getting out of the house was enough to lift her spirits. My lady, where are you headed? Anna asked. Well, why don't you suggest a place? I've never been to the main streets by myself. Anna was a little nervous, but she gave her honest opinion nonetheless. For clothing and accessories, you could go to Mary Street. For cultural venues like galleries or the Opera House, I'd recommend Cedar Street. You're quite knowledgeable. What about a jeweler? I'm looking for a place that will buy gemstones at a high price. Anna immediately recommended 3 places. She had suspected before that Anna was an encyclopedia the author created just for convenience. Maybe that was true. Alright, let's go to the places you suggested. She needed to sell the jewels she'd taken off her old dress. 5.1 million. The price was pretty good. She deposited the money into a nearby bank. She was surprised that she could make a deposit under a false name. With her funds secured, she now needed to figure out an escape route and a destination. She still didn't know enough about this world. Plus, since Anna worked for the Duke, she couldn't be too obvious about her plans. Anna would surely report on her activities. Still, she was satisfied with what she'd managed to do today. With that in mind, she turned to thank Anna. Thanks to you, I was able to get my errands done with ease. When she returned to the residence, the Duchess suddenly summoned her, saying the jeweler had arrived. Looking at the timeline, this was the exact scene in the original story where Edith was humiliated because of the jeweler. He had thought his wife was spoiled and extravagant, but he never imagined that such a small necklace could make her smile so radiantly. The jeweler visited the ducal residence every season. As usual, everyone doted on Lize. Seeing Edith being ignored, Lize felt bad and helped her pick out a necklace. But why would a villainess appreciate that? You're giving this piece of trash to me? Are you trying to make a fool of me? The panicked, innocent-looking girl hurried to explain, of course not. I just thought it would suit you. Is that so? Other than the one you picked, I'll take everything else. But she was utterly humiliated when the male lead, Cliff, bought all the other jewelry for Lize, leaving only that little necklace for her. It was one of the most gratifying scenes in the original story. Now, she was sitting awkwardly across from them, just as she reached for the blue necklace in front of her. She heard the Duchess say, that blue necklace. Doesn't it match Lize's eyes perfectly? She awkwardly pulled back her hand. She watched the happy scene across from her, feeling as if she didn't even exist. Normally, she might have tried to jump in and say something, but today, she just didn't want to. Because more than anything else, seeing Killian was just embarrassing for her. In a situation like this, it was only natural for the Edith in the original story to feel left out. She shifted her attention to the jewelry just as Lize suddenly spoke up. Hey, wait a second. Edith, I think this one would look great on you. The gemstone isn't very big, but the color is just beautiful. Is this a ruby? The jeweler immediately launched into his sales pitch. You have a wonderful eye. This is a ruby of the highest quality. The lady smiled. Edith, would you like to try it on? She didn't expect someone else to reach out at the exact same time. Killian? The man picked up the necklace, glaring at her fiercely. Turn around. He was actually putting the necklace on for her. But what was with that expression? When she glanced over, she noticed the lady across from them was smiling warmly. Oh, so he just didn't want his mother to worry? Fine, I guess I'll play along. So, how does it look, Killian? Edith's smile made Killian blush. He couldn't keep up his cold act any longer. He turned away awkwardly. It's not bad. Give me the bill for that necklace, her brother said, his words holding an unclear meaning. Killian, this is the first gift you've given your new bride. How sweet of you, brother. In that case, I'll take all the rest, the lady suddenly announced. Cliff, dear, if you buy all of these for Lize, what about Edith? It's all right, mother. There's nothing I particularly wanted to buy anyway. This necklace is more than enough. Although, she did wish the gemstone was a little bigger to sell for escape funds. But, she probably wouldn't sell this one. And here she was, thinking she'd managed to avoid the original plot. She never expected that the very next day, the Duke would interrogate her. Because she had been framed, she now had to prove her own innocence. But that husband of hers, the one who hated her, suddenly went insane. Not only did he defy his father, he even grabbed her hand and stormed out. Even though in the original story, he was the one who personally executed Edith. Just the day before, she'd received a gift from her husband. She had avoided the part of the story where she gets humiliated by the main characters. Everything was finally heading in the right direction. Even when her father sent a letter forcing her to steal documents from the ducal mansion, she remained optimistic, thinking of a way to handle it. Her father knows she organizes the documents, which means there's a Regelhof spy here. It seems I've just escaped a tiger's den only to enter a wolf's lair. I have to do something to make things interesting. And if I can piss off my scumbag dad in the process, even better. In her reply, she lavished praise on the immense power of the Ludwig family. She also wrote that the Duke was not at fault. After all, conferring titles is the Emperor's decision, isn't it? Why should anyone resent the Ludwig family for it? His Majesty is alive and well, with the Imperial Princess by his side. Archduke Langston has no chance of ascending the throne. She urged her father not to rebel. It would be better to side with the Ludwigs. She wrote down everything she could never say before. As for the ducal family's documents, she didn't reveal a single thing. She thought that would be the end of it. She never imagined the Duke would summon her the very next day. Edith, I will ask you one more time. Did you, or did you not, leak the documents? I really didn't. Do you dare to swear it on your father's honor? Of course. And not only that, I would also swear on my own honor and my very life. But the Duke passed judgment on her directly. Your actions will bring ruin and disgrace upon both you and your father. What on earth are you talking about? The Duke raised his hand. Lion handed her a stack of documents. These are the files you asked me to organize. That's right. Those were the fake documents prepared by Lion himself. HMPH. Your father purchased only the items listed in those documents. That is the proof that you leaked the information. Edith responded calmly, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. You must have had another reason for asking me to organize fake documents. But whatever it was, I only completed the task I was assigned. I did not leak the documents. To still be playing dumb at a time like this, you've really got some nerve. Then tell me, how did information given only to you end up with the Regelhof family? You say it was only given to me? But it wasn't just Lion. The retainers who share my office, as well as Mother and Lize, have all seen it. The Duke was so furious he laughed. Are you trying to shift the blame onto my family? Edith Regelhof. He called her a Regelhof again. Come to think of it, wasn't it the same way in the original story? After her wedding, Edith was never once called Edith Ludwig. Everyone called her Regelhof. She stared at the Duke and retorted, if I am Edith Regelhof, then allow me to ask, what is Miss Lize's full name? Is it Lize Ludwig? This sent the Duke into a rage. You have such a reckless mouth. I'll say it again. Mother and Lize both knew I was the one who organized those files. If something were to happen, I would obviously be the first person suspected. Did you think I wouldn't know that? If you truly don't trust me, you shouldn't have asked me to work here in the first place. But then again, you needed to catch me leaking the documents. So you could bring the Regelhof family to heel, right? This logical line of questioning left the Duke and the two brothers unexpectedly stunned. She was truly tired. She hadn't passed the documents on, so how did they end up in the Regelhof's hands? She thought she was on fairly good terms with Lion, and although being deceived by him stung a little, she didn't think Lion was the kind of person who would frame her. And Lize had no reason to, either. Could it be a spy planted by the Regelhofs? No. If a spy could do something like this, why would they need an obvious target like her to get information? The original Edith did do it, but she hadn't. Was this some kind of sign? A warning to her, the one playing the role of Edith, that no matter what she did, she could never escape the original story's plot and its ending. Was she doomed to keep falling into the abyss until she met her end at Killian's hands? Just then, Killian suddenly looked at her, shocked by the sight before him. That strong-willed woman who never admitted defeat, was shedding tears. Didn't I tell you? I am willing to stake my life and honor on this. If you still don't believe me, then just kill me. Hearing her beg for death, Killian instantly panicked. What are you talking about? Because he was the younger son. He was used to his parents' favoritism. The best of everything always went to his older brother. He was like an outsider, just silently watching the backs of his brother and father. This is how a younger brother should be, and he had gotten used to it, hadn't he? Until his father arranged a marriage for him. It wasn't a question, it was merely a one-sided notification. Killian. He had become a tool in his father's political struggles. He thought he was supposed to loathe Edith. But when he heard Edith asking his father to carry out her punishment, he was on the verge of going mad. He shouted at Edith, trying to stop her from saying another word. Cliff, fearing his younger brother would escalate the situation, persuaded his father to investigate further. However, he demanded that the suspect be placed under house arrest, and the Duke compromised. Then house arrest it is, he said, looking at Edith coldly. If you're truly innocent, then you'd better pray the truth comes out. The outcome was exactly the same as in the original story. The Duke ordered the guards to escort her away. But Killian stopped them. No, I'll take her. He swiftly pulled Edith to her feet. You're coming with me. He didn't even allow for a farewell. He slammed the door in a rage. The moment the two of them were back in the room, a fierce argument erupted. Are you insane? I wish I were. Did you think I was joking? Do you even know what Axel Ludwig's nickname is on the battlefield? The guillotine without warning. Edith turned away, her voice dripping with sarcasm. What a grand nickname. Whether it's our own troops, enemy soldiers, or prisoners of war. Father deals with them all mercilessly and by the book. How could you say something like asking him to kill you? What if he actually... Edith cut him off. So what? Are you saying you're unhappy with me for asking him to kill me? His heart was pounding uncontrollably because of what Edith had said. That phrase, kill me, sent him into a frantic state of anxiety, but he had no idea why. He could only offer a formulaic reply. What I mean is, if you do something wrong, you have to pay the price. And if not, the truth will surely come to light. Will it really? Just as none of you believe me, I can't trust any of you now. No matter how this ends, you'll all see me as the culprit. You were the ones who gave me the forged document. And you're also the ones investigating and passing judgment. And I'm just supposed to be locked up here waiting for your verdict? Edith's question left a bitter feeling in his heart. He clenched his fists. I will conduct an impartial investigation. I swear it on my honor. I will investigate this fairly and I won't let you be put at a disadvantage. I will also keep you updated on the investigation's progress. Edith looked at him coldly. Do as you please. But I am curious. You say you'll be impartial, but what if Lize and I both become suspects? Will you still be so confident then? They say that when two women fall in love with the same man, they become jealous and try to hurt one another. But the imperial princess who liked the male lead, Cliff, actually lost her obsession with him the moment she met Lize. She transferred her affections to the novel's heroine instead. Catherine was someone that even the emperor couldn't control. She was a maverick, and incredibly headstrong. She was the only noblewoman in the empire with short hair. Finding gowns too troublesome, she wore riding breeches all day. And while the novel portrayed her as tyrannical and unreasonable, she was one of Edith's favorite characters before she was transported into this world. Perhaps Edith just envied her freedom. The moment Catherine saw Lize, she began to tease her. You haven't visited in a whole month. Has your affection for me cooled already? Seeing Lize stammer, Cliff stepped forward to shield the girl. Catherine, stop bullying Lize. Can't you see how uncomfortable she is? His former love was right in front of him protecting another woman, yet she seemed to feel nothing at all. I was just kidding. Why isn't Killian here? Lize smiled and replied, he's a married man now. He can't just leave Edith behind to come with me, can he? Cliff sneered. Married? What marriage? You can't even call that a marriage. It's just a farce they're putting on for Regalhoff and his cronies. Catherine said all this impatiently. In her mind, Edith was just an idiot. What did she even look like again? Ah, whatever, it's not like I care. Cliff had an audience with the Emperor, so Catherine took the opportunity to lead Lize away. I don't want to hear about your scheming and plotting, or any of this complicated stuff. You should just go talk to my brother about it. Cliff watched their retreating figures. His thoughts turned to Killian. He'd been getting frequent headaches lately, and he's been unusually sensitive. All I said was that I was going to the palace. And Killian angrily blocked my way, thinking I was going to report something bad about Edith. Even though I was just going to tell the Emperor that the investigation was ongoing, seeing Killian stand up to his father like that for the first time was actually quite interesting. A little girl on a hospital bed was crying softly. Are you in a lot of pain? She asked, turning to look. It was the child in the next bed. She quickly apologized. I'm sorry. Did I wake you? No, I cry a lot too, the child said, sitting up. Are you scared, too? Is that why you're crying? I'm not scared. Actually, I kind of wish it would all be over soon. Seeing the other girl's surprise, she explained. My parents think my illness is a burden. And even though my older brother is a bone marrow match, he's too scared of the pain, so he just told me to, go sooner. So I figure it'd be better if it just ended. But the girl who was listening just laughed. It was a bitter laugh. Nothing ever goes our way, does it? But I'm still jealous of you. At least you have family who could give you a bone marrow transplant. I want to grow up fast, so I can have long hair. I want to be able to tie it up, and put on pretty makeup. I want to walk down a busy street and just watch people live their lives. This was Edith's dream, a dream that came to her whenever she felt exhausted. Even now, she can clearly remember that girl saying through her tears, as long as there's any chance to keep living. No matter how painful the treatments are, I'll do everything I can to get through it. But when she returned after her own bone marrow transplant, the girl was gone. That's the reason she can't give up on life. Because as long as you're alive, Anything is possible. They were husband and wife. But they had never once shared a meal alone, all because she was the villainess from the novel. And he was the second male lead. That is, until she was put under house arrest pending an investigation. For Edith, house arrest wasn't much of a punishment. After all, she'd been a total homebody in her past life. This kind of laid-back lifestyle was pure bliss for her. At least, it was, before this guy showed up. So, what brings you here today? Without any notice, and right at mealtime, no less. Killian stared straight at her, only answering after a moment. Because this is the only time I have. Is that so? You must be a very busy man. The two fell silent again. Edith cursed him in her head. This jerk. Isn't he going to tell me why he's here? Other than his handsome face, his personality is absolutely infuriating. She remembered a popular post from her past life. When you get married, find someone handsome. Because even when you fight, one look at their face and your anger just melts away. She used to be skeptical of the original poster. Besides, even if she didn't want to eat with him, she couldn't let him ruin a good meal. Killian was also observing Edith. Seeing her indifferent attitude, he suddenly started reporting on the investigation's progress, emphasizing that Lize was also under investigation. I won't be any less thorough just because it's Lize, so you don't need to worry. The days of confinement didn't seem to affect her at all, which greatly puzzled Killian. You can still eat? I have no reason not to eat. First of all, I'm innocent. Second, this soup is delicious. And it's not like I'm the one who did this. Why should it affect me? It was a shame the soup was finished while there was still bread left. Resigned, Killian pushed his untouched bowl of soup over to her. Edith was the one under suspicion, yet she seemed less concerned about it than he was. Although Edith didn't want to see him, she still felt a bit empty after he left. In her past life, she quite enjoyed origami, but that wasn't possible in this Western fantasy world. She learned from Anna that the young ladies of this world liked embroidery and painting. The more active ones would choose horseback riding. As for embroidery, she'd never touched a needle in her life, so she decided to skip it. She had even less confidence in her painting skills. Horseback riding? She'd like to live a few more years. Is there anything else? Something more novel? Anna suddenly remembered. Making clothes for dolls has become popular recently. It's also good practice for your needlework. The moment Edith heard that, she decided on it. She took out some money and asked Anna to help buy the materials. Keep the rest for your trouble. But Anna said there was no need. Serving you is my duty. Why? Did someone tell you not to accept things from me? Anna's obvious panic only made Edith more certain that she was there to watch her. Even though Anna was in this position, she was one of the few people in this mansion who actually respected her. I didn't mean to scare you like that. To be honest, trying to buy you with this little money, that would be looking down on you way too much. So please, just accept it as a small token of my appreciation. It would make me very happy. Anna's expression softened. She accepted the money and thanked her. But Edith never expected that shortly after, during the ducal family's investigation, a document in her handwriting was found. Just as she had started to give up, and no longer held any expectations for the third male lead, that very person started acting strange. He started caring about her daily life, worrying if she was eating properly. He even investigated tirelessly, day and night, wanting to help prove her innocence. When he found evidence that worked against her, he became even more frantic than she was. Anna brought the doll for Edith, complete with tools, patterns, everything she needed. Anna seemed kinder to her recently, although her expression was still as cold as ice. Making the clothes was harder than she'd imagined, but it was just a hobby. So what if it wasn't perfect? The ultimate goal was to have fun. Fortunately, the finished product looked pretty good. A little kiss to commemorate it. Maybe I should try embroidery next. Suddenly, Killian barged in, startling her so much that she pricked her hand. She furiously scolded Killian. Did you feed your manners to a dog? Killian had no time for pleasantries. During our investigation, we found a document in your handwriting. Father will be summoning you shortly. How are you going to explain yourself? I must say, you've gone to great lengths just to slander me. Are you kidding? Or do you find Duke Ludwig amusing? The reason she was so fearless was that in the original story, the Duke ended up letting Edith go. Killian, on the other hand, is acting completely different from how he was in the original story. Excuse me for interrupting you both. The Duke had summoned her. Edith couldn't help but be curious. Does Leon also think I'm the culprit? Killian, stop frowning. Isn't finding evidence a good thing for you? Let's go, Leon. The Duke took out a document. This is the weapons inventory from the deal with Count Rieghoff. It's in your handwriting. Someone imitated my handwriting, but the Duke didn't believe her. The only person who stands to lose from this is your father. If you confess honestly, I will not punish you. Your Grace, this isn't a matter of punishment. I told you this is about my reputation. You can compare it with the data I've compiled. My spreadsheets are never this sloppy. Someone has forged this. It's also possible you made it this way on purpose. Why would I do that? If I was trying to avoid being caught, I wouldn't have used my own handwriting in the first place. Besides, there are differences between this and my handwriting. As she spoke, she asked Leon to bring her diary. Through her observation, she found that although the spreadsheet was somewhat crude, the forger must have had some basic knowledge of them. If it were someone who had learned from her, like the Duchess or Lize, they would have been able to create it. But there was no reason for the Ludwig family to go to such lengths. There were far simpler ways to frame her. This was like an event from the original story, being repeated verbatim. Edith opened her diary. The way this character is written here is completely different from the one on the evidence. Therefore, this is a meticulously forged document. Please, you must catch that cunning rat. The Duke was beginning to agree with her. Just then, Lize suddenly appeared. The Duke had summoned her as well. He asked Lize who else knew how to use the spreadsheets. Lize first mentioned the Duchess, followed by Cliff and Killian. No one else. She stressed that she didn't really understand the spreadsheets herself. The Duke confirmed again. So, you're saying that besides Edith, only members of our family know how to use them? That's correct. Edith stared at Lize in astonishment. But she had clearly taught Lize how to use the spreadsheets before.